Well, we finally made it to the end of the line, to the end of the journey, to the end of the world. That's right, we finally made it to the final episode of Kingdom Hearts Unchanging Armor, and I'm super stoked to go through it with you guys. It took about half as long to get to the final boss as it did to beat him, but we will cut out all the junk and get right to the good stuff. So I'll see you guys all in the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you have been following along, I super appreciate it. If not, this is the first video. Feel free to check out all the other content I have on my channel. I appreciate it a lot, and I will get right into the video. So after beating the Hades Cup in the last episode, we headed straight for the end of the world. However, that was a huge mistake because we forgot one very important thing in Hollow Bastion. Please, before you head on over, go talk to Aerith in the library in Hollow Bastion, and she will give you Curaga, which is the final level of Cure, which is going to be super helpful because I only had Cura, and since Ansem can basically 2-tap you without any equipment on, you're going to want to be able to heal yourself fully, and Cura just doesn't do that job. But once you grab that, and as long as you have Iroga and your buddy set up just like you did at the Hades Cup, you should be ready to go right into the end of the world, because a lot of the end of the world is actually just like the Hades Cup. It's a bunch of rounds of enemies, and you use basically the same tactics to get through the most of the level up until Ansem. So once you finally beam down from your gummy ship, because there's nowhere to park it in that little cave that you enter from, you will be in this open level of just water and little islands with treasures on them. There's little invisible walls that keep you from going certain ways, but if you look at where the stone is pointing, that's the direction you have to go. And other than that, there's just these big orbs that fall from the sky, and those are basically like the Colosseum rounds. Like I said before, a lot of this level is just like the Colosseum. You're gonna go through a bunch of different rounds of Heartless, and the plan is the same. If you see an invisible, go gravity it. If you see a Dark Bolt, go gravity it. If you see a Behemoth, hit it on its horn until it dies. Other than that, with your teammates set up like they were before, Goofy will keep spamming MP, and hopefully Donald does something good. Other than that, you should get through it pretty easily. I don't know which treasures had the exploding darkness that also get you into another round, so you guys can figure that out on your own. But getting through that's pretty simple as long as you're set up for the Hades Cup still. So we made it through the invisible maze pretty easily. We went through the large white light at the end of the tunnel, which brings us to a pretty forgettable section. I don't know why this is here. There's no enemies, and I don't remember the treasures being that important, so we just kind of ran through that, stopped at the save point, and then hopped into the Well of Light, which brought us to the World Terminus, which I believe is the heart of all the worlds, or at least an access point to them. You don't have to do these if you've completed all of the keyholes and done all the worlds, but if you missed one like Atlantica, which I should have done because it's the worst world, you do have to fight them here. But basically, you can just walk right through these if you've done all the other levels and get to the green one, which is Winnie the Pooh, which will allow you to save once again. After that, you will get to the final one, which is the big red giant fire plume, which will take you to the Hollow Bastion one. That one I believe you do have to do, but after beating all the invisibles and enemies in there, you leave, and then you will see that the fire plume has gone away, and then we hop down into the little hole there, and we will fight the first boss of this world, Chernobog, the giant vampire looking thing that's stuck in a volcano for some reason. Chernobog is pretty easy, but we definitely get to see that the lack of equipment starts to take its toll, because Sora doesn't hit very hard, and his magic is pretty lackluster here. You can land on his shoulder, I believe, or somewhere on the volcano to summon if you want. You can summon Tinkerbell or Dumbo, but since we don't have equipment to really boost our magic, it's not super effective, but you could do Tinkerbell, let him heal for you. It could help you if you get caught in one of his fire plumes, but other than that, you're basically just going to hit his head over and over again. So the plan is simple. In his first phase, you're just going to fly to the back of his head and basically hit his head over and over again, and if you see him start to crunch up, that means he's probably going to explode his little fire plume, so just start to fly away during that. The fire plume does get bigger as you do more damage to him, so just be wary that you have to get out a bit quicker as that goes on, but other than that, it's pretty simple. Just get the timing down and hit him in the back of the head. You should be able to dodge most things as long as you're behind him. The second phase is pretty much his last bar or two, where he starts to shoot these little projectiles at you. I mean, it's pretty much the same game plan. You'll just throw on Aroga, which will block all of those, and then as soon as he starts to shoot him at you, just fly right at him and start getting your hits in, because he starts to spam the fire plume pretty often. So you're basically, your main chances are while he's shooting projectiles at you, because it can't hurt you if you have Aroga on. So other than that, just go up there, mash X to win, and make sure that you dodge his fire plumes. With Chernobog disintegrated into a fiery purple plume, you can now actually leave. You can go back up, you can fly back up, and you can go back to the Winnie the Pooh room and save if you wish, which I did because I didn't want my game to crash or something and have to fight him over again because it's a long fight. So if you would like to go back and save, you can actually do that, and then just hop back down and go all the way into the volcano, and you can head right into probably the hardest room in Kingdom Hearts. It's the green room of the It is the Green Room of Death. It is literally just like C2 at the Colosseum, where it's just endless rounds of Heartless, Dark Balls, Invisibles, the Angels. But since we've been through the Colosseum, we should be pretty prepared. As soon as you enter the room, you'll fight a Behemoth, which you know, is the bane of this run's existence just because they take so long, but you know how to take them down. I also found out in this playthrough, even though I've played this game a ton of times, that you can roll underneath the behemoth when he shoots the dark ball into the air and then the little dark pellets fall down. If you're underneath him right after he lands, most of the dark balls actually miss you. I didn't know that, but it's a good way to save some health and some MP dodging those. Once you beat the behemoth, one of the little pieces will fall, which starts the gauntlet basically. Since we've gone through the Hades Cup, like I said, we should be pretty prepared for this. As soon as you start to see a wave of dark balls or invisibles, go ahead and spam stop and gravity to really bring down their numbers. Make sure Goof's giving you MP and you should be okay. I died here once because I got greedy. There's no shot. As long as you do exactly the game plan as before, which is if you're out of MP and your buddies are dead, roll until one of them gets back up. But yeah, they do go on for quite some time. The rounds are pretty long, but as long as you spam gravity, hit a bunch of them, you should be able to get through it pretty easily. But it is very easy to die here. There's a ton of Heartless, so just be careful, and remember, gravity's your friend, mash X to win. Once the endless waves of Heartless are destroyed and the final piece falls, you are able to step through the heart sign there and enter the final rest. Hopefully you are mentally still prepared to mash X to win, because that is going to be the strategy for the next 2.5 hours. That's right, it took me about an hour to get here, and the video was about 3 hours and 45 minutes, so the final boss, Ansem, took me about almost 3 times as long as the time it took to get to this area. So that being said, the final boss, Ansem, is 3 rounds, has 3 phases. The first one is a 3v1 with you, Donald, and Goofy fighting Ansem on the beaches of Destiny Island, and then the second round is a 1v1 fight between Sora, Darkseid, and then immediately Sora and Ansem, plus his guardian, obviously, and then the final fight is Sora versus the dragon ship, Ansem. Yeah. Phase 1 of Ansem on the beaches of Destiny Island is a pretty easy fight because you have your friends. Hopefully Donald will do something good again. He'll either give you a Roga or heal you when you need it. If not, he's probably dead. Goofy is more consistently going to give you MP, which is super nice because having a Roga up consistently against this guy is going to be very helpful. His attacks do a ton of damage, so just make sure that if you get hit that you probably heal immediately after. This is where having Kiraga comes in a ton of handy because I slowly bled damage out because Kira doesn't actually heal you all the way. Other than that, he usually just has his guardian swing his fist at you, which you can just either run away from or jump over and then go into a combo. You can usually get around 1 or 2 combos in before the guardian comes up to protect him. You can roll around behind him and try to get a hit in or 2, but it's kind of 50-50 on if you can. The other thing that he does, which is the most dangerous, is obviously his submit attack, right? When he yells submit and then the guardian comes out and tries to grab you. Depends on his part. No! If you get hit by that, it's probably the hardest part of this fight, because now if you hit attack at the wrong time, you'll get frozen, and then he'll do this little dark ball that comes at you and does a ton of damage if you get hit by it. But if you don't hit freeze, then the guardian will also hurt you. So you have to be super careful on the timing. If you can get it offset to where Ansem does the dark ball and then you're able to hit freeze as it's going away, usually he'll just float towards you and you won't take any damage. But if you do get submitted, try to just stay away from it as much as you can and then hit freeze at the best time so that you don't get hurt by the guardian either. I believe that's how that all works. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. I would love to learn more, but that's how I did it. Other than that, get your combos in between his attacks. If the Aroga reflects the projectiles back at him, he does stun for a bit, so you can go up there and hit him for that. Other than that, usually right after he does an attack, you can get 1 or 2 combos in. So just smash X to win and make sure that your health stays high. Other than that, you guys should be good. Also, I didn't know this, but if he misses you on the submit attack and hits one of your buddies gets submitted, he'll actually just focus on whatever buddy has the guardian attached to him, and in between dark balls, you can actually get a ton of hits on him. It's actually a pretty free way to get damage, and I'd never known that until this playthrough, so that's pretty interesting. With the Master Manipulator himself currently out of commission for a second, you get a little bit of time to rest and recoup and get your stuff together. I suggest throwing a ton of elixirs on for items, because from now on it's basically going to be a 1v1 fight for the next 2 hours. Go ahead and slap on as many elixirs as you can, and then hop over the little sand wall to go fight the phase 2 of Ansem, which starts with another classic full circle ending fight against the Darkseid. Again, same thing as before, just hit his head over and over again until he dies, or hit his arm or whatever. His attacks do hit hard, but you fought him like 3 times now, so you should be able to get by pretty easily. Aroga will block any of the projectiles he shoots at you, so just if you want to beat up on the small Heartless, you can, or you can just hit his arm or head or whatever over and over again until he dies. Pretty simple. Once he goes down, you will head on to Ansem 2. This is probably my second favorite fight, only to the 1v1 with Riku. The reason that it's not the number one fight is if you have Aroga, his most deadly attack besides submit is pretty much nullified. He'll do attack where he charges at you, which basically 2-taps you, and it's pretty hard to dodge / block. So, but if you pop Aroga immediately, he just stops him in his tracks, which I didn't know until now. When I did this at level 1, I actually learned the entire moveset and figured out how to dodge / guard those, which made it a very fun fight. But this Aroga basically makes this a whole bunch easier. What I found, and I don't know if this was true, is that if you have Aroga up, he tends not to use the attack, because the first time that I ran through it, I didn't know that Aroga stopped it, so he immediately just used it and killed me. But then I think the second time I went through, I used Aroga, and he didn't use it as much. I still died at the very end, which sucked. So we'll probably just skip to the part where I won, because it doesn't really matter. I got so far in that fight. But basically, Aroga will stop his charge attack. You'll be able to dodge the lightning one pretty easily, and then the only thing you need to worry about is if he kind of charges towards you. That means he's either going to swing or submit, so it's best to just run away / dodge roll away. Because the hardest part is if you get submitted, there's no one to help heal you or anything, so making sure that you dodge and try to stay away from him if you do get submitted is very important to get that timing down. Other than that, you can get, usually, if you stun him off the charge and he gets blocked by Aroga, you can usually get 2 combos in again. You can try to roll around and hit him. That's mainly the opening. Again, it's super important in this fight. If you will need to heal or use an elixir, to be very patient to wait for the guardian to come out, because if you use it in between attacks, or if you just finish a combo and try to use it, he might just submit right away. And if you're mid animation for cure or elixir, then he'll hit you and then you'll be in a bad spot, right? That's pretty much it. His DM is pretty easy. You just dodge roll to one side in a circle and everything will miss you, and then just dodge roll once for the final burst, which goes out in I think 4 or 5 directions, but there's a huge gap, so you'll miss it. Usually as soon as that pops off, I would hit an Aroga immediately, because he might either charge you or go right for an attack as soon as the DM ends, and then just make sure that you dodge it and then counter and get 1 or 2 combos in, and that should be the way that you defeat him. He should eventually go down, so just mash X to win at the right time, and you should be set to go. This guy definitely takes a couple tries, so if you die, don't worry about it. You do get to restart at the beginning of the second phase. You do have to start again and fight Darkseid, but he's pretty easy. It just kind of gets annoying to fight him for the 5-6 minutes that it takes. But once you learn Ansem's moves, he's pretty easy. Just make sure you keep your MP high so you can constantly Aroga, even though 90% of the time it's going to feel like you don't need it. But I can tell you right now, the 1 or 2 times that he does charge at you and you just have Aroga up, you just don't have to worry about it, and it's super nice. It definitely takes away one of the main ways that you're going to die, and it will save you a ton of restarts. So don't feel bad if you're spamming arrow and there's no reason for it, because the one time that you need it, you'll be super glad that you had it. Down, baby. Come on. It's too easy. Come on. After you mash him all the way down and he finally dies, you'll be able to move on immediately into phase 3. After losing to a 14-year-old child, again, Ansem decides to bring the fight into the realm of darkness and become a giant ship for whatever reason. That's where he puts all his marbles into. This fight is definitely, or this phase is definitely very difficult in the sense that it takes forever, and if you die, you'll probably just want to stop playing because you can spend like 2 hours trying to beat this guy. The openings are very slim, and since we don't have equipment or keyblades that can boost magic, we can't really effectively rely on magic to do a bunch of damage. Since most of your elixirs were probably used up in that second phase, you probably won't have a very efficient means of restoring your mana anyway, so the best way is to use physical attacks, which leaves very few openings, but he is in a cycle, and if you get to learn the cycle, you'll know when you can attack and how long you can attack. The best way to explain it is that there's 2 sorts of phases in the cycle. There's a long phase and a short phase. The long phase starts with a quick burst of 6 lasers, 6 single lasers. So he'll shoot 5 pretty quick, and then he'll have the 6 lagging. But they're all single, and after the 6th one, he may or may not summon little heartless goons that will chase after you. The best thing to do if you do see the little bats get summoned is to just fly in the other direction. and get them to despawn because they're very annoying and they hit very hard. But after those 6 lasers, and whether the guys spawn or not, he will do 4 physical attacks, whether you're nearby or not. He just does it. It's a cycle that always happens. So he'll do 4 physical attacks. After that, you can go get in 2 or 3 combos in. This is the time that you can do the most damage. And then after that, he'll say a voice line, and then he will spawn 2 sets of lasers. It'll be a 2 and a 3. So 2 lasers will shoot at you. There'll be a short pause, and then 3 lasers will shoot at you. That's all that he shoots at you. So right after that third one ends, you can go right in and get 1 combo in, because that is the fast phase, because immediately after you get that combo in, the long phase will start again, and he'll shoot 6 rapid lasers at you again, and then that's the long phase because it takes longer. The lasers take forever, and then he will go swing 4 times, and then you will go get your 2 to 3 combos in. Then he will shoot the 2 sets of lasers at you. You'll get 1 combo in, aka the short phase, and then it will start over and over again. And those are your opportunities. Once you get down to, I believe, a bar and a half or 2 bars, he enters like his second sequence of lasers, which is far more annoying. For this one, there's only 1 opening. There will be 2 sequences of lasers, which you will have to dodge both before there's an opening. And after the end of the second one, he calls in little minions, which you just have to hope don't hit you, because this is the only opportunity you have. And if you run away because they are there, you won't ever do any damage. So he will shoot a long sequence of lasers at you, which you will dodge. They will come in 2s and 3s, and then there'll be a pause, and then you'll know it's ending when he shoots a final single laser, and he does his dark ball around him. That's like a dark shield, and then 3 goons will spawn. You will charge right past them and just get in a combo or 2. I think you can get 2 or 3 in, and just hope that they don't hit you. If the little minions do hit you, I suggest you get out of there immediately and just let the damage go, because lasers come in very fast, and if they hit you, you're basically 1 mistake away from dying. Ooh, that's better. Not like this. Not like this. And the best thing to do if you do get into that situation is to just wait for a break in the lasers. Between the 2 lasers and 3 lasers is usually a long enough time to get a cure in, but if you try to cure immediately, you'll probably just get stuck in a damage cycle and die. So just be very careful and be patient and learn the sequence of lasers, and then get the combos in when you can. It'll be an absolute grind, but if you've done the Hades Cup, which we did, you should be okay to do that. Dodge that. We're going for the kill, baby. Come here. Come here. No. Get the out. Later. Sayonara. You're the worst guy I think I've ever faced. That was terrible. But it is very nice when you do finally break him down, because you get into one of the Heartless Dark Realms, which basically starts phase 2 of the phase 3, which is where you basically defeat the ship and get your buddies back. And then you'll go into phase 3, where you fight Ansem as a group, which is actually very easy and it's nice. So phase 2 of this, you go in and fight a room full of Shadow Heartless. I believe as long as you make it to this room, it's a checkpoint. If you die from now on, you'll start back in this room. Or at least like at this room after it's defeated. So once you get in there, you shouldn't have to do that phase again. I don't know, I wouldn't test it, so just, they're little heartless, just throw on a Roga and smack them until they die. Then you'll defeat the little nucleus that's there, and then you'll head out and defeat these little turrets on the ship. The best plan for this is to pop an Aroga, which blocks everything but the red cannonball fires, and then go destroy those cannons first, because once those 2 cannons are down in the middle, having an Aroga on should make this super easy. Also, keep an eye out. Sometimes these things do drop items. Pick them up, because if you were like me and you used a bunch of your elixirs in phase 2 and the last of your elixirs in the first part of phase 3, you'll be very much in need of items. So keep an eye out for those and pick them up if you see them. But with the turrets down, you can finally head back into the ship and pick up your first buddy, which is going to be Goofy, which is super nice, because if you're low on MP, which I was, he'll immediately MP gift you, and you can just pop in Aroga. You'll be in a room full of dark balls. Just spam gravity and Aroga, and Goofy should keep you healthy. If he goes down, I definitely suggest you cure him, because getting the MP from him is indispensable. So make sure you keep Goofy alive and keep your Aroga up and just spam gravity to win. Then you'll move on and defeat the nucleus with Goof, and you finally have your first buddy back, and you can go on and fight the dragon ship itself. For fighting the dragon ship, which is just the giant head on the front, which comes alive and uses electricity magic, there's not much to say about like patterns and lasers and stuff. Basically just don't get hit by the electricity and go smack him with your Keyblade. That's basically how that fight works. Definitely as you get towards the end of it, with a couple bars left, or maybe even the last bar, you can definitely start to just use fire on it. You can get close enough, which gets you out of range for most of the attacks, but fire can definitely still hit him. And then I basically just kind of spammed fire and then waited until Goofy gave me more MP, and then just kind of fly around and dodge the stray lightning bolt that comes down. Other than that, I mean, just kind of keep your distance. You can use magic now because you have a reservoir from Goof, but other than that, there's not much more. Just mash X to win, don't get hit, you know. I mean, there's not much to say for him. It's kind of just a grindy fight. The only major attack he has is when he shakes, you know, he closes his mouth and shakes, and then all the lightning bolts come around him, but obviously you can just fly away from that, and then don't get hit when he explodes electricity from him, which is why you can stay at a distance and just use fire. Other than that, in between those attacks, just get your hits in. Keep your Roga up, keep your health up. The electricity is no joke, so if you're a little low on HP, I wouldn't risk it at this point. But hopefully, since you got into the Goof chamber and got Goofy out, this should be a checkpoint, I believe, for if you die. You don't have to do it all over again. Not sure. If you guys want to test it out, go for it. I did not, as I was already 3 hours into this. But with the head defeated, after you smack him enough times, give him that good old concussion CTE, we can move on to the Donald room. Finally get Donald back, which it's a tough room. It's full of a bunch of invisibles. Again, just go in with an Aroga, stop and gravity combo, just spam that. Hopefully Goofy will keep you level with MP. And yeah, just mash X to win, mash gravity. Honestly, you don't even see him half the time. Luckily, there's auto lock on, so I think I actually know for a fact that this one is a checkpoint, because at level 1, I think I died in this room, and you just start back in the room. So that's nice. Look out for items that drop. But again, we went through the Coliseum. We know how to handle a large group of invisibles. With that, you can defeat the last little nucleus thing there, get out of the mouth before it explodes, and then you are on to the giant heart looking thing, I guess. I don't know really what it is, but you just gotta go fight the spooky looking appendage, I guess, that's in there. Basically, if you have a Rogue on, nothing can hurt you in the room. If you want to go defeat the other turrets, you can, but the giant thing in the middle that you have to beat, the little drum looking thing, it doesn't do anything to you, so you can just go up and hit it if you have a Rogue on. Probably the quickest way. And once that's down, you can fly right on into the final fight, the final phase, which is the 3v1 with Ansem. Now for this one, again, you could look for patterns and stuff. It's the same thing. He doesn't really shoot lasers at you. He has a couple of new moves. The main one being the Supernova. As soon as I see him start to do it, I honestly just flew to the edge of the map. You can call Donald and Goofy away too, so that they don't die. But other than that, since I was so deep into the level and I didn't really want to die, you can totally just let Goofy and Donald attack this guy, because while the lasers are coming at you, he doesn't attack. It's the same as in the first phase, but it's so risky on your own to attack while the lasers are shooting. But he won't do any physical attacks while the lasers are going, which means Donald and Goofy will just pretty much have free reign on hitting him over and over again. So while you're dodging lasers, they're doing attacks, and then the only other thing he does is he steals your MP, which you can actually go in and they're basically one hit, so it's pretty safe to just go in there and kill those on the little dragon monster guy behind him. Or you can just lock onto it and hit triangle, and Donald and Goofy will go hit it for you. That's the only time I really went in to the combat zone there. The only time I got close to Ansem really was to make sure I wasn't losing too much MP. Other than that, just fly away from the Supernova and let Donald and Goofy get their victory lap in, because they've died so many times in this playthrough. So I let them have their last little go. They get to beat up Ansem, and I just flew away from all the damage. The only thing you have to do is once he gets down to 1 HP is go in and thunder him or fire him or do some type of magic attack, and boom! It's too easy. Look at the gang right there. Come on. You're done. Finally, after the huge last fight, you finally get to defeat him. It feels really good. And then the ending scene is super sick, which you can't actually skip. I didn't know that you can't skip it, but it's really cool. And then the other last thing that I wanted to show you guys is I did officially get the trophy. You've done it. You've cleared the game. You got the trophy. It was super sick to see. Those are my stats there if you guys want to look at them. This is probably the most spells I've ever cast on friends, just most of them on Donald. Overall, I mean, this challenge was, I wouldn't say as difficult as Kingdom Hearts level 1, but it certainly makes it grindier, I think, than level 1, because I think level 1, because you can put equipment on and magic is super busted, you can cheese your way through a ton of fights. And I think on this one, aside from a Roga cheese, like, you can't really do too much to make things go faster, because your magic's garbage as well. So while you could level up, which helps out, you get new moves, the game's a bit more fun, it feels good when you fight enemies, right? You can kind of keep up with the mobs, right? You don't just instantly die. But when it comes to the big boss fights, you can really tell that I think it is a bit more difficult, because you can't just summon or, you know, spam magic to win, because it doesn't do enough damage. So I think that's where it really started to hit, is in the bosses. I think Unchanging Armor is actually a bit more difficult than level 1. But overall, super fun challenge, super fun way to play the game, and I learned a bunch of new stuff. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like to follow along, again, this is only my second voiceover video, so hopefully it goes well. Again, that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye!